this episode of the podcast, I talk with director, writer, and producer McClain Lindquist. He did the movie The Telltale Heart. It's a really killer horror short film that you definitely should check out. Highly recommend that one. And yeah, this is a fun podcast. We talk metal, we talk movies, we also talk werewolves, so that's always a plus. So hope you enjoy this one, and thanks for checking it out. All right, we are live now. How's everything going your way, McClain?
Going great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for being on. I've been a fan of your film since you sent me that screener, man, of The Telltale Heart. It was great.
All right. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, I've noticed it's been making its way to a bunch of festivals and stuff.
Yeah. So far, we're in 30 plus film festivals in 20 countries, I believe, and we've won 40 plus awards. So, yeah, it's been well received. It's really cool meeting people across the world as well. Really, the filmmakers, the other filmmakers, kind of cherish those relationships that I've had. So it's going good, even though it's kind of strange because the vast majority are digital, online, streaming film festivals. But that's what we're dealing with in the world. So it is what it is. And we've taken advantage of it. So it's been great.
That's killer. I did the Horror Hound Weekend Festival. It was an all virtual one. It was like sometime earlier this year, and they had your film on there. I was like, oh man, that's killer. Like, you know, going all over the place there.
Yeah, Horror Hound was really cool. I think we won an award from them as well. It's hard to keep them straight, but yeah, Horror Hound was great. And that's fun for me because it's a term that I have always used, a horror hound. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool term, and it's catchy too. So, like horror hound. Yeah, I've used that before. I knew about the magazines. Like, oh yeah, I'm a horror hound. You know, I'm always looking for different horror movies and stuff like that. So, and it was cool when I found out about the magazine and stuff. So,
you can sniff it out.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend that works over there, JK. I don't know if you've ever talked to him before, but I think he does like publicity and stuff for Horror Hound, if I'm not mistaken. But he's really killer, and he's doing a short film that's going around in some festivals right now. So,
all right, so I'll hit him up.
yeah, JK's great. So, how did you get started in film? Like, tell me your origin story.
Through music videos. My band, Basement Pros, we had toured all over and had multiple releases, but we never did a music video. And since I'm very opinionated and was always talking about films, I got tasked the role of writer, director, and producer of our 3 music videos that we did. And through that, I kind of cut my teeth learning, you know, the tricks of the trade. And each one just became bigger and bigger. And it was kind of just a natural progression and very organic to then do a short film. And I've always thought The Telltale Heart would make a really cool short film because it's an incredibly cool short story, and also I think it just deserves the justice of a, you know, kind of modern take on it. So it's, you know, slick and intense and maybe a little gory. And I figured that'd be a good start as well to get into film. So it's my first film, and it's been really well received. I just have a strong passion for the craft of filmmaking, and just kind of went for it. I believe if you just truly work hard towards something and have a true passion, you're going to put yourself in the position to maybe capture, you know, lightning in a bottle. So, which I believe that we did with The Telltale Heart. So music videos brought me here.
That's killer. What kind of music did you play?
Our fans call it hip rock, which is fine by me. We're eclectic, kind of across the board, but that's really cool with you know, music today. That kids aren't defined by the boundaries of genres of music. When I was coming up, you couldn't listen to punk and heavy metal. That was a big no-no. You couldn't listen to country and say pop music. You couldn't listen to even R&B and say rap or hip hop. which is just insane when you think about it. And nowadays, kids are just like, I like that song. They don't even, recognize it as a genre, being any different than any other songs that they hear. They just like it. And that's awesome that those walls have been broken down. So.
Yeah, that's definitely killer, man. I was in a band for about 17 years of my life. I was in a kind of a black and sludge metal band, and we
Nice.
toured across the United States a few times and, put out a good bit of material and stuff. And yeah, you meet a bunch of different folks doing that, like different tastes in music. Myself, I listen to everything from Drab Majesty to the Smiths all the way to like, Primitive Man and some of the heaviest metal out there and stuff. But it's great to have like a nice spectrum of stuff that you like.
Yeah, I lean towards. I mean, I've never heard a genre that I don't like. It really bothers me when people say that when you ask them what type of music that do they like, and they say I like everything, and then you say, so you're a big Cannibal Corpse fan? No. You're a big Slayer fan? Oh, I can't stand that. You like Tupac? I can't stand rap. Just whatever it is, It's like you don't like all forms of music. I've never heard a genre of music that I didn't like. There's some that don't really move me much. Bluesgrass would be one, but yeah, it's just find whatever moves you, and that's what music does. I tend to gravitate to the darker stuff, so I like hard rock and heavy metal and the extreme metals as well. So I'm sure I would have jammed your Doom sludge band.
Yeah, I have to send you the link once we get done talking and stuff. I'll
Cool.
send you a link to it and stuff, our Bandcamp page and stuff. So
Yeah, I have Gentry Densley playing some guitar for Joel Pack on the score for the Telltale Heart, and he's in Iceburn and Eagle Twin, which are on Southern Lord.
oh
And
hell yeah,
their
no,
new album, their new album's real sludgy. Iceburn just put out a new album. It's really good, and it's really doom laden, and they've kind of gone away from their jazzy thing. It's just like straight up kind of Sabbath, Masters of Reality type stuff.
hmm Yeah, that really stuck out for me too with the film was the soundtrack, man. Like the heavy metal riffs, like towards the end and stuff. Like, okay, this has got some dark shit going on, music wise.
Yeah, I was listening to Neurosis, which I just thought was a really good kind of, linear connector as I was writing the screenplay. That just kind of, they obviously with a name like Neurosis, they're dealing with psychological stuff, and they're very, kind of deep and intellectual band that's also incredibly heavy, defined.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. I love
Yeah,
them.
so yeah, mine as well. I've seen them numerous times. I love everything about Neurosis, and that obviously was a big influence on me within the writing, but even more so with Joel. I referenced some Neurosis stuff, and you can hear it in there. But yeah, I didn't want to do the kind of traditional where it's like you just drop in a White Zombie song and it's like, oh, I get it, it's horror. I wanted to do something different, and so the entire score, the whole soundtrack is a character in and of itself, where it speaks and it also listens, and it really, the music and sound both just took my movie to the next level. But there's so many famous movies that are that way, where if you pull out the sound and the music, they're not as good. And so, coming from a musical from a music background, I wanted the music to be, a really strong, character within the whole movie. So that was from jump, and I wanted to also not do it. So I didn't want to be that guy. So I had Joel Pack do it, and he did, way better than I ever could have. So yeah, music is my life.
That's killer, man. And a good soundtrack and a good, it really provides an atmosphere to a film, and it can make or break a film, especially for me, because, music is a big part of my life as well. So, if the soundtrack is weak or, something like that, the movie can suffer.
Oh, for sure. If you take out the music of Jaws, it's not the same movie. And also, but then on the flip side, there's a movie like No Country for Old Men has no music, so both work, very well. The absence of music, you could only do that for so long. But yeah, it just sound and music go hand in hand with moving pictures for me. I think my movies will always have a very musical touch to them, but not like in the sense of Paul Thomas Anderson or, Quentin Tarantino or whomever. We did something different, and I'll continue to kind of subvert, expectations. So you can expect that.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen this since you're a big Neurosis fan, but did you watch the DVD that came out, I think, maybe in the early 2000s, late 90s? It was The Sun That Never Sets, the whole like music video DVD they put out.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
one that really moved me was it was like a bald tree, and it
Mhm.
was I think it was like a gimbal shot or something that it was rotating, but it was just really stark. It was this one image, and that really stuck with me because it felt, like watching an old Hammer horror movie or something like that.
Mhm.
Neurosis isn't campy like that at all, and that wasn't, I don't think, meant to inspire that. But yeah, that one sticks out for me. The bald tree. I don't think it's set against the full moon or whatever, but it's just this dead tree in a field. And it's really moving. They're
Mhm.
just incredible. Everything about them. I'm in awe of what Neurosis does.
Yeah, I've seen them two or three times, but the most notable time was it was at the Masquerade in Atlanta because it was a real intimate show. It was them and Wake was on the bill, and man, just seeing them as close as I was, because last time I seen them before that was at like the Scion Music Festival, and that was also in Atlanta years before that. But being up close and personal, Neurosis and the whole crowd acting as one, it was like a spiritual thing, man. You know what I mean? Like it moved you, like it was on a different plane of existence.
Yeah, there's a handful of bands like that. When you're there, it's almost like church. It is like religious because there's this community aspect and the call and response aspect of even just a band putting out music and then the audience clapping and yelling back at them. It's cyclical, but yeah, their shows are beyond intense and also really spiritual. It's weird. There's only a handful of bands that can kind of tread that water there. It's a fine line to walk, and they do it. They're incredible. So yeah, it is like a very moving religious experience when you see them live. They're one of a handful of bands that the a video or audio recording will never capture what they put out live. But that's music. Music is meant to be heard live. And they're really loud, which is awesome as well. But yeah,
Hmm.
I've seen them a handful of times throughout their history. So I've been there for Neurosis. I love them. So and it's cool seeing them and other bands like Melvins and High on Fire and other bands getting recognition now and building their audiences still. So kudos to holding the hard rock heavy metal candle or flame and keep it burning.
Yeah, most definitely. And I just think it's killer how, neurosis ties into, some of your motivation for the telltale heart. That's just really awesome because I like when music or metal in general can tie into like horror, it's a good combo.
Yeah, initially I kind of vacillated between should this be symphonic, should it be electronic, should it be kind of doom sludge heavy metal, and went all three ways, and then we realized why don't we do all three? And it breathes. It's a movement in and of itself. It's progressive, and it worked really well. And the musicians that Joel brought in, kudos to all of them as well. So Megan Allman, Aaron Child, Sophie Blair, Gentry Densley, and Joel himself. So they just knocked it out the park, and I am super grateful.
How was the casting process for this? Because I know Sonny was fucking awesome, and so was the guy that played the old man. Man, he's super creepy. Like, how did
Yes.
the casting go for that?
Well, so I hooked up with Chris Hansen, world-renowned special effects makeup artist.
Hmm.
He was the first person to sign on, and that instantly gave me credibility. And he said he knew someone for the narrator, and he introduced me to James C. Morris, who played the old man. Pretty quickly, I realized, he's a makeup artist, if you will. So he's the man of a thousand masks. So he's you throw some plastic on him and paint him up, and he does the rest. He's a really talented actor. So I realized this is my old man. I wasn't going to cast someone of that age and punish them with 19 hours on set and having 150-pound Sonny Grimsley laying on top of you for 45 minutes as we light the shot, So that was never going to happen. I know people have referenced, like, why didn't they use, a 90-year-old guy? Well, I'm not going to punish people like that. But James was incredible. His role, I only took the 2 lines out of the story. My brother did all the dialogue for the movie, and I just took the couple lines that are in the story, and that was 2 lines for the old man. Mm-hmm. And when James walked on set, it was just instant that, I've got to get more lines for this guy. So we wrote lines that day, and then he performed them the next day, where that was not in the initial script, but just seeing James do his thing on set, it was like, oh, okay, it's official. I need this guy talking and interacting with the narrator because he's too good. Yeah, and speaking of too good, Sonny Grimsley is too good. So he's just incredible. And all the accolades that have come his way, he totally deserves. I didn't know that he was a method actor until he was on set the first day, which threw me. But I just kind of stayed away from him and just whispered in his ear at times and just, kind of encouraged him to stay in the character, which he didn't really need help. And I never made eye contact with him for that full week. But yeah, the casting process was it was just an open casting call. So it was cattle call, they call it, which is awful, but whatever. Yeah, and I figured, this is going to be really hard to find these people to fit these roles that I wanted. So I did the casting as well with my team. It was pretty extensive. I think there was about 10 of us or whatever involved, but it was the opposite problem. We had so many people that came in that were so good, including Taryn Turner, who ended up as the detective. That role was written originally for a black man like Danny Glover. I'm getting too old for this shit kind of thing.
Right.
And quickly that became the female, where she was an older, black woman, kind of, large and in charge. And then it was an older white man, kind of like past his prime. Not very aggressive, not intense or whatever. And Taryn came in. We all figured he was reading for the narrator, and he's this big guy. I was like, oh, huh? And but he read for the detective, and pretty quickly I realized, I think this is the guy, and this is where the character needs to go. He's more of an intense person. He's not really burned out. He's just, wants to go home. And then that changed the next role as well, which was Micah. And she came in, and I connected with her as well. So I figured, okay, yeah, she's the police officer. And originally it's kind of her POV. She, if it was a full-length movie, it would basically be through her eyes. And to me, she's the hero of the story. But yeah, so the casting, it was tough as far as picking who was going to play what and all that. Other than James, he signed right on the dotted line, so to speak, without even reading the script. He came on board, and we had those 4, and we were off to the races. We did a ton of pre-production, so a lot of rehearsal, and then also blocking as well. So, and my brother did the second AD work, which he was really great with the actors as well. So
that's killer. And how did you get Chris Hansen on board?
I guess he liked my style. I just lucked out. Yeah. Because he wasn't the first person that I reached out to. He's actually towards the end where it's kind of disheartening. I got a lot of no's
Mm.
up to that point, basically from everybody. And I understand that, I've never done anything, first time filmmaker and all that. And when you hear the Telltale Heart, it's like I'm like the 1,000th person to do this, and it's usually your student film or your first film. So yeah, it's got kind of failure written all over it. I understood that, so that never bothered me. But Chris, we just connected over Chris Can Talk. Probably like a 2-3 hour phone conversation. He was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was in his studio, which is like a dream come true as, a horror hound, a kid that you're in a special effects makeup studio and designing. Yeah. Stuff for a horror movie was just like, oh man, if the 10-year-old McClain could see himself now, he'd be pretty impressed. So
That's killer, man. What kind of films did you grow up with that you love, like horror films?
horror films, my favorite of all time is Evil Dead 2,
Nice.
but like The Exorcist shook me to my core. And then going back, like The Omen and Rosemary Baby are also really good movies. Halloween got me. The Thing, for sure. Like there was a lot of like kind of flops that ended up on late night TV, cable TV, Turner stuff. So like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and also the original on Turner as well, and seeing like War of the Worlds, The Fly, The Blob, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then to the 80s, it just like exploded. And so one that really stuck out for me was Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. But yeah, I mean, it's endless. The Shining was like massive. That was like cultural to me. I hadn't even seen the movie, and I probably knew more about it than, most people that had seen it. American Werewolf in London, The Howling. And those were just like movies that I saw. The Howling was the first horror movie that I saw. And shortly thereafter, I saw American Werewolf in London. So I'm just a solidified werewolf guy. But yeah, I mean, it goes on and on. I love Italian horror. So Argento's, really kind of the tops for me. Bava and Fulci are great as well, and others. But yeah, Italian horror, South Korean, Japanese, British, I love horror across the board, and also like, throughout history as well. So the Dr. Jekylls and Mr. Hydes and all the Universal Monsters stuff. The list goes on. And then gateway stuff, Gremlins. I love all of Joe Dante's stuff.
Yeah.
And, the Lost Boys, Predator, Alien, and then artsy stuff as well. I just, really love the genre, and I like deep dives, and I like it all from art house to, just trashy B movies or slashers or whatever. So.
Yeah, it sounds like we're on the same boat there. I'm the same way, man. Like my horror, like the things I like in horror are vast. I go from like slashers all the way to super art house stuff in between, I got a big love for werewolf movies. So that's one of my main things, but there hasn't been a really good one in the past maybe 20 years, really.
Hold your breath, because it's coming.
Yeah, I know. We're starting
I don't know how long, but yeah, I've got one.
Oh, sweet. Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely get the movie.
It's the script's not done, but the treatment basically is I'll do the outline and eventually do the script. So that'll probably be in conjunction with my brother as well. Not certain though.
Is that gonna be a full length?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. You're gonna have to have a metal soundtrack with that one.
What's that?
I said you're gonna have to have a heavy metal soundtrack with this one, man.
Yeah. It's I could do that. But also I have a saying, serve the song, that I apply to the situations within movie making. Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes you go into writing a song and you have this chord progression or this lyric or whatever melody that was the impetus for you sitting down and writing this music. And when you get together with the band, or even as you're like formulating it, and arranging it, you realize that isn't necessary and you lose it and it's not even there anymore. But it was the whole reason that you wrote this song. But the song is served because you let go of that. And, it's just like whatever the song needs at that point, do that. So I don't want to get too tied down to say, oh, yeah, well, all my stuff will have, like heavy metal. But I don't see how it wouldn't. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll probably get that tag as well, and that's fine. I can live with it because it sounds really cool. So, but yeah, I'm really excited. Man. I wish I could go into details and all that, but yeah, I have some pre-production stuff as well, artwork and some of the monster design. So
oh, man, that makes me excited, dude. Like,
yeah.
We've been on a little bit of a drought in the werewolf genre for a while. There's been a few here and there, but
a long time. Yeah, they're just most werewolf movies really just swing and a miss, if you will, just are off for whatever reason. Yeah, and it's a shame. They deserve better. Werewolves do. So I'm gonna try my best to make one of those movies that sticks out in the genre of werewolves.
Killer. Yeah, maybe to replace the whole zombie genre, man, because I'm so burned out on zombies. It's not. Yeah, I mean, zombies have been like past 15 years straight zombie everything. Fucking.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it can be traced to anything, but it kind of feels like, was it Danny Boyle? With 28 Days Later, I know they're not zombies per se.
Yeah, but, that was kind of a big jump off point.
But that and then Dawn of the Dead. Was that Zack Snyder? I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was great too. Like, what I really liked both of those remakes or that remake, and I liked what 28 Days Later did, where kind of flipping the genre on its head. But yeah, shortly thereafter it was just an explosion. I remember joking when I was in school up in Portland, Oregon. I had a classmate and he was like, oh, zombie movies are about to explode. And I was like, oh, whatever, dude. I mean, there hadn't been a zombie movie from that point it was maybe Savini's Night of the Living Dead was probably, or around that time maybe. Yeah, that's probably it. There was just nothing, and then it just became where it's saturated at this point now. But I think when something gets like that too, it does provide the opportunity for a slick movie that somebody is coming from a different angle, because everyone's expecting something, so it's easy to kind of subvert that. So I'd like to take a shot at that maybe.
Yeah, put your style on it. Yeah, I mean, I got trust in you, man. I think you could pull it off. Give something different.
The best ones that stick out are the ones that do something different, and it's usually about like family or just life in general. And zombie movies do lend. It's really easy to touch on metaphors and society and things of that issue. Or those problems. Kind of manifest within zombies, where typically it's the humans are worse than the actual monsters. But but yeah, it's a sponge and it's currently overflowing. But I guess give the people what they want or whatever. That's just not really my style. Like I said, I want to be known as the person that subverts horror. So.
What kind of films have you been watching recently that caught your eye? Like anything good you want to mention?
Oh man, I watch so many movies. I watch at least a movie a day. I just recently watched, because it was the 44th anniversary, I believe, Suspiria, nice. Dario Argento's. My favorite's Deep Red, but Suspiria is just such a masterpiece, and it's just ethereal, and it is like a fairy tale. And it's also so campy and over the top, and also just beautiful within the cinematography and especially the gaff. So that's nothing new. But yeah, I watched so many movies, and it's mostly, horror, but I watch everything as well. I caught up to Freaky, which I just watched about a week ago, and I
Mhm.
thought that was great. I was expecting that to be really bad, and I just had a really good time with that. It was like, okay, they're not taking themselves too seriously and just having fun with, this slasher trope.
Mhm.
And that's cool as well. That there's a few movies that are subverting the tropes, and those are really cool. Is it called Behind the Mask?
Leslie Vernon.
Leslie, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's a great
cool.
movie, man. Yeah.
That's, it's like, oh, this is how you do this, because people are accustomed to, the movie being formulaic, so they you can basically guess the next, step. And a movie like that is just totally like, oh wow, it's behind the green curtain, Wizard of Oz style, and it's like, oh, all right, what if type thing. And those movies are really cool when it's something different. And also that just lends to creativity. So
They were supposed to do a sequel to Behind the Mask, man, but I don't know what happened to that. I think they ended up doing a comic book instead,
eh,
but they were supposed to do another film, and this was years ago when that came out. So I don't know what happened with that, but I was waiting for a sequel, dude. Or a prequel at least.
yeah, I could see them, that wouldn't feel like a cash cow where they're, milking it or whatever. That lends, that story
Mhm.
would lend to even a prequel or pick up from that point there. Yeah, just so many movies, too many to name. I mean, you'd have to get into like subgenres of horror, and then I could focus my brain more on picking out a specific movie.
I keep track of all my stuff I watch. 'Cause I watch a lot of shit too, TV wise and movie wise. I keep track on the Internet Movie Database app on my phone because my memory
Okay,
is so bad. I forget what the fuck I just watched if it doesn't really hit me. So I just keep track on that. I rate everything on there and stuff. And if something really hits me, I'll write a review and stuff, throw it on my website.
nice.
Like today, I watched Censor. Have you seen Censor?
I don't think I have.
Okay, it's early viewing right now. You can rent it on Amazon. It's still in theaters, but you can rent it
Okay.
on there for like $7. Fucking
Okay.
amazing movie, man. It's a I believe it's a British film, and it's based off of like the 1980s when they were doing like the all the censorship over in England and stuff over like the super gory movies. I can't remember the name they called it or whatever, but it was like the super gory shit they would censor and ban it and all stuff, all these banned movies and everything. That's what this is about, but it takes like uh like a it takes a horror trip down like a thriller type dark hole of violence, man. Like it's hard to explain without giving shit away. Just definitely check it out. It's called Censor. It's super awesome, super
Nice.
dark, a lot of gore and stuff, but
Well, check it.
it's
I,
trippy as fuck too.
I like your taste. Video Nasties, I think
Yeah,
is
there
the
you go.
team
That's it.
maybe.
Video
Video
nasty.
Nasties, right? Yeah. So they,
Mhm.
yeah, and kudos to whoever did that. It was kind of similar to the PMRC in America that made the list. Tipper Gore and all that. And so it was
Mhm.
basically like, hey, check out these bands and check out these movies. So,
Mhm.
some of them I never heard of, and it was like, oh man, thank God for this list. So yeah, that backfired. Uh, yeah, Video Nasties, I believe, was the UK term.
Yep, that's it, and that's what this is based on. But it's a horror
Oh,
movie.
sweet.
So yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely gonna enjoy
I'm
that
all
one.
over that. I love meta stuff like that. Like Stephen King likes to write about writers, right? And
Hmm.
it's fun as a filmmaker to see movies about movies or within a movie type thing. It's fun. So I don't know if that's played out or if people don't like that, but I can just tell you as a filmmaker, that's really cool to have that moment where you're, a film within a film, if you will.
Hmm. If you've read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, he even throws himself into the fucking book. Like, as Stephen King, Stephen King is in there, like, as a writer. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that ends here in Utah in Green River, right?
I believe so, yeah. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, Green River's nice. That's where Powell pushed off down the Colorado River. That's about the extent. I think there's there's a blimpie there, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Are you a big King fan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's maybe the greatest storyteller of all time. He's not like the most eloquent writer, but his stories are incredible. There's some times where sticking the landings,
Yeah,
it's like, okay. But he likes that. That's kind of his thing. It's the third act, if you will, being where the left-hand turn is, where it's typically in the second. But yeah, his influence is pervasive. It's cultural. Whether you want to or not, his language, if you will, is going to influence you, because anything that you've seen or heard since the late 70s, early 80s is going to be directly influenced by him. So that's impossible not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he just taps into, fun things that people can relate to, kind of Americana as well. He definitely has a line on the heartbeat of America. So it's neat what he does. He's like I said, he might be the greatest storyteller of all time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. For me, it's King and Clyde Barker. Those are two of the best, and that's pretty much all I fucking read or listen to.
Clive's a genius. Like I mentioned, Hellraiser. Hellraiser is, oh man, such a massive influence on me as a horror fan, but more so as a filmmaker. So both 1 and 2. I know he didn't make 2, but yeah, those 2 films, wow, just everything about it and about him. He's just a really incredible storyteller as well. He's so stripped down, where King is very, in depth. Clive kind of leaves it up to you. He's not all that descriptive, and so like you kind of do the work with some of the, the darker elements, and that works because there's nothing darker than what's in your own brain, because what scares you, and that's where you go. So yeah, he's incredible. He obviously isn't going to, but boy, that would be really cool if he made another movie again. And seeing like Nightbreed, his cut, which I watched a couple months ago. Wow. Okay. Because I was so critical of that movie up to that point. That was just a really big disappointment. And then to see his cut, it was like, oh, this is a good movie. This is how this should have been cut. It's still, the 80s, and there's still some parts that are kind of hokey or whatever. But that, his cut, which I think is on Shudder currently, I believe you can watch his director's cut, is really good. Really good. I'm shocked. So, but I would love to see him come back, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
Well, I'm hearing some things around now, because Barker's back to feeling better, because after all the craziness that he went through these past, 10 years or whatever with the stuff, there's all kinds of bizarre things happen to him. But health-wise, he's starting to come back again. And I'm hearing talks that him and Mick Garris have something going on. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but those are two of the greatest minds in horror, So whatever it is, it could be killer. It could be a book. It could be, I don't know, it could be a movie, TV series. So
is it Showtime that's doing the Hellraiser series?
I think it's HBO.
HBO? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm
hoping that's going to be good.
That's one where I'm not big into reboots or anything like that, but if someone asked me to do Hellraiser, I would pounce on that. But I'd want to do those first 2 stories for sure. That would be a dream come true.
Yeah, that would be killer. But yeah, Clyde Barker is back to business from what I've understand. I mean, he was on the Postmortem podcast recently. It was like one of the best episodes ever. Mick Garris and fucking Clyde Barker. I mean, you don't get no better than that in my eyes. So
yeah, they're both
like fucking
awesome. They've got the street cred pass for sure.
Hmm.
They get in any convention they want to.
Yeah, I mean, they're two of the biggest names around, man. Like, they're awesome and very
Yeah.
inspirational.
Yep, both. Mick's very, diverse as well. He does a lot of things within the industry, and is very respected for a reason. And he seems, I've never met him or anything, but he seems like a very genuine, nice person.
Yeah, I'm friends with him on Facebook, which is pretty badass. And
Nice.
I've
Isn't
got
that
to at least
crazy?
tell him the way I feel about him and stuff like, hey, man, you're very inspirational. You're awesome. And, he's like, thank you. So,
Yeah, it's really cool that social media has also, torn down that wall of
hmm
it was really a tower, right? Where I mean, I can't imagine reaching out to Roger Waters of Pink Floyd or Plant or Page from Zeppelin, on
right.
my phone or whatever. And like Tool in the early '90s as well. There's a reason that those bands still have that mystique. It was because they were guarded. And I don't think you could do that nowadays. I don't think you'd be a mysterious band, if you will. And I think that's a good thing, that you can just reach out to whomever, and they might just hit you back and be like, "Hey, thanks." It's like, wow, that's cool. It's super cool when these people that you've respected or admired, enjoyed their art throughout life, that they
hmm
like one of your comments or they, throw something back at you. It's like, wow, all right, that just happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a screenshot for sure. Like, all right,
Yeah,
keeping
every
that
time Tony
evidence.
Todd shares my cat pictures on Twitter, man, I'm always like, hell yeah, because he likes to do like Catter Day stuff, and us share our cat
Nice.
pictures up there with Tony Todd, and he starts sharing them and stuff. I'm like, that's pretty fucking badass when the Candyman shares my cat pics.
Yeah, he seems like a cool dude as well. I'm glad that he's getting some shine, and hopefully here we'll get even more as the OG Candyman. So, and I'm really excited to
Yeah.
see this new version. That was a favorite of mine. That was another Clive story, of course.
Yep. Yep.
And then they made a few subtle changes, and those changes were genius.
hmm
So yeah, that's a really unsung movie, that it does not get its credit. And hopefully this new version will blow up, and make a ton of money, similar to what the Evil Dead did back in
hmm
13 or whatever that was, where it's like, yeah, this franchise deserves to have a big hit regardless of what it is. So yeah, Candyman rules. Tony Todd's rad.
Yeah, he is. And I know he's going to be in the new Candyman too, which is cool because most people think, oh, it's a remake. It's not necessarily a remake. It's more of a sequel type deal from what I've read.
Can't wait.
It's gonna be it's different. It was like, oh, don't do it's gonna be a stupid remake. I'm like, no, dude, you read on it some more, man.
I'm for it. I'm for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, new horror, man. I've been looking forward to that one since first got announced, and it got held back last year. It was supposed to come out last year around this time, but now it
Yeah,
looks like everything's good to go with the film, and it's coming out this year, soon, very soon.
yeah, Halloween and Ghostbusters and another my movie.
Hmm
So yeah, we're a year off. It's basically like I took a whole year off. It sucks, but and I feel bad that the movie's not out and all that. But what can you do? I can't control anything like that, worldwide pandemic and all that. So.
Right. I mean, we're living our own horror story right now, so you know.
Yeah, no, this is definitely it. And I, Host, which there's a new movie. Host was awesome and
hmm
it just like flawless. And I hope no one else tries to do that because they're gonna fail. And also, I don't want to see any, kind of pandemic horror because it's already been done. That's why like people of my age, Gen Xers, we were ready for this. We grew up on these movies. We've seen this so many times. It's like, yeah, I know what to do, when the zombie apocalypse, if you will, hits. I don't want to see any of that.
No, no.
I would not do anything even remotely related to that, and nor do I want to see it. But if you want that, during the peak last year, Host is just perfect.
Yeah, totally agree on that. Yeah, definitely, totally. What kind of what other future plans do you got? What kind of projects you have in the work that you can speak of? I know you got the werewolf thing going on.
Yeah, I've got like I've got like probably about 5 scripts finished, and then I've got some treatments, like I said, and some outlines as well. So it's probably about 10 different things that I could work on or around there. If someone wants an anthology of Poe stuff, I have the Cask of Amontillado, and I have the Black Cat already written,
Hmm.
and then I would have an actor playing Poe. Read the Raven, and in between that, kind of get interrupted and do these, short stories and short films, anthology, vignettes, if you will. So, yeah, there's that. If someone wants that, I also have a full-length feature, Shutter Canyon. It's a very linear story, so it's different from my other movies. It takes place in a canyon. So, and I've got a kids movie, part 1, if you will, or I could extend it to a full-length feature. It's called Nelson the Naughty Elf. It's kind of like the elf on the shelf that those kids do, but this one's evil and possessed.
Hmm.
Very Joe Dante-ish gateway horror stuff. That's done. But I'll probably write part 2 this winter. I wrote that with my daughters. They came up with most of the stuff, so that was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Have little kids, little girls help write my movie. Um, and my brother and I have got a couple of projects. He wrote a book, Geist Passage, and we'll turn that to a screenplay sometime. And he's got a script called Reaction. That's, it's in stages. It's basically written, but like any movie, there's so many rewrites, and that's just how movies are made. And then I've got a found footage treatment, and then 3 treatments. You heard that the werewolf one. I can't get into the specifics, but it's they're all within the same universe, and it's the same family, but they're not like connected. The movies, even the genres, are all different.
Right.
So yeah, it is. That is. I'll just say that's set down in the Four Corners area of the Southwest here, so Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. So it's the Navajo Nation, and all the movies, those 3 movies, take place there.
Cool.
So yeah, and I've got a an outline, and also I've started on a script for Carnival of Souls, which is in public domain because Herc didn't register it. So here in America, you can make your own Carnival of Souls if you'd like. And I'm thinking I just might. So someone picked it up in Europe, but yeah, I'm really proud of what I've done with that so far. But yeah, I've got a lot. It's just whatever anybody wants. And then as far as the Telltale Heart, we've got VHS tapes. We did a special edition, small run, hand signed. We've got a comic book, Telltale Heart, that we did in conjunction with the movie, Chris Bodley and Zane here in Ogden, Utah. And we'll be releasing, or at least having a premiere in October here in Ogden, Utah. And also that day we will release our Telltale L that we did in conjunction with Utah, a local brewery and restaurant here in Ogden, Utah.
Nice.
Utah, and it's Kolsch Mandarin Blood Orange, and they put a couple of drops of food coloring. It doesn't affect the taste, but the beer is blood red.
Oh, badass.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. And then, we'll be at the tail end of the film festivals here, and hopefully there's a path to distribution, and then we can start on the next project, which I'm really excited about. And with the next project, I have no idea what it's going to be. So if you want to write me a check for $1 million and you like the sound of any of those, I'll make you a badass movie, dude.
Anybody listening, if you got $1,000,000 you want to throw his way, I would do it. It's a good bet.
No, I mean, that's if I had $1 million. Oh my goodness. We You hear a short movie and you think this is people in their basement with bad lights and bad acting and not all that great of equipment or whatever. And this was the exact opposite. We were on set at Redmond Studios, so what you see in the movie that was not in a home, that was on set, which 99% of movies are made that way, where you can control the light. We only had a few exterior shots of the home, and everything else is movie magic there at Redmond. And we got the best equipment through Redmond. They gave us a really good deal, and they were just really cool there. And so we made a movie that looks like it cost probably 3 times more than what we did, but we also came in under budget and on time, and we're proud of that as a team. That we worked our asses off, and it shows for those 6 days that week. You put in that blood, sweat, and tears, and you get a cool movie, because it could have been shit too, but we knocked it out the park, and just kudos to everybody that was involved with the movie as well, because it takes a village, if you will, to make a movie, and I couldn't have done it with everyone from my PAs all the way up, to my first AD. So I hope they're enjoying in this success as well, because it's probably more theirs than it is mine.
Y'all definitely killed it, man. Like, all the great success in the future too, which is already getting a bunch of cool success, but I think more good things are to come.
Yeah, just like I said, if you're passionate and you believe in something, a project or whatever. So if I do decide one of these, kind of bite, then I become pretty myopic, and I will do whatever it takes to get it done, in whatever capacity it is. But the one thing that we're going to do is our next project will always top the previous effort. So I cannot take a step backwards from what I did with the Telltale Heart. That's just the beginning. The next step has to be beyond that, and then the one after that beyond that as well, or it's pointless if it's not progressing. I'm just spinning my wheels, and that's not what I want to do as an artist. I want to evolve and also push myself. So I put myself in positions of that are really precarious, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull off any of this, or sometimes even how to do it. And that'd be my advice to filmmakers as well, is to do that. Go way beyond yourself, and you might be surprised that you might just nail it. And if not, then didn't make the movie. You tried, but yeah, go big or go home. And I definitely do that. So I would love to have future conversations about my other movies here with you. But we shall see. We'll take it day by day. And if the Telltale Heart is my one and only, I would be incredibly proud, because it's far exceeded everything, all my expectations, and everything that I ever, could have dreamt of. It's that and more. So I'm incredibly proud of our film.
Well, that's killer, man. You got my support for everything in the future to come. So you get a new movie, anything new you want to work on, you want to talk about it, just hit me up. So
you'll be the first.
Excellent. Well, McClain, thanks so much for being on the podcast. This was cool. I enjoyed it.
Hells yeah, man. It was awesome. Can't wait to check out your link and rock out in my basement, get all sludgy with some doom metal. And,
oh yeah, turn that shit up loud too.
Yeah, I knew we were kindred spirits. So yeah. Keep that flame alive, brother. Let's keep it crusty, all right?
Always, man. You take it easy and have a good one.
Always. Love life.
Later.
Peace.